right, welcome back. We are going to finish up our rationals. We're going to look at some graphs of rational functions and see if we can't pick them out. There's no forcing on the graphing because it's going to be primarily multiple choice. So let's just look and see if we can pick out some graphs. Okay. So first thing we want to make sure that we do is go through these little checklists and go through each one of these. So we're going to factor out each numerator and denominator first. Then we're going to look for our vertical asymptotes. Then we're going to look for our horizontal asymptotes. Again, both of these should be pretty easy to do. Okay. Now, then we're going to go down to plotting points. Okay, so once we've determined our asymptotes, we might need to plot some points to figure out which one of these graphs that my multiple choice is going to work. Okay, and so that's what we're going to do here. So this first one is not really going to be multiple choice because I don't have multiple choice examples because I don't do things like that. But here is an example. So there we go. We have f of x equals x minus 4 and x over x plus 1. Okay, so now I'm going to set the denominator equal to 0. And this is a vertical asymptote. So I'm going to come over here and start sketching just a little bit. So when x is negative 1, that didn't look good. Let's try again. When x is negative 1, I have a vertical boundary line. That is so not vertical, is it? There we go. I have a vertical boundary line. All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. Second thing I'm going to do is the horizontal asymptotes. Okay, so vertical asymptotes, set the denominator equal to 0, and solve. Okay, that's the first thing. All right, second thing, horizontal. We're going to compare the degrees. All right, now they're the same. The degree of the numerator and the denominator are both of degree 1. Okay, so I'm comparing the degrees, and so we use the coefficients. Well, the coefficients are the same. That's okay. We use the coefficients to create a fraction. So the y, the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 1 over 1. Now, these are the coefficients, not the degrees. Make sure you understand that. It's the coefficients that are 1. Right? And so y equal 1 is our horizontal asymptote. So here's y equal 1. I have a horizontal boundary line. Okay, so now we're going to try to plot points. We don't have a vertical. We don't have an oblique. So now we're going to plot points. Now remember, this will be multiple choice, and so we've just got to find the right one. Okay, so now we're going to plug in some numbers. So the first one says set the numerator equal to 0. These are going to be our x-intercepts. Okay, so let's try that. So our x-intercepts, set the numerator equal to 0, and that would be x equal 4. So that's the point 4, 0. So I have a point on my graph right there. Okay. Then it says y-intercepts. It says plug in 0. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 0. So that's 0 minus 4 over 0 plus 1. So that gives me negative 4 over 1, which is negative 4. And that's the point 0, negative 4. So that's here. All right. So now, what does this thing look like? Okay, well, we've got these boundary lines, and we might need to plug in some other values, because I'm really not sure. I can't pick out which one I think it might be. Okay, so I'm going to plug in one more point. Now notice that I think I might plug one in that's over on the other side. I'm going to plug in another number. So let's plug in, let's do -2. So I have -2 minus 4, or -2 plus 1. That's going to give me -6 over -1, which is 6. So that's the point -2, 6. So I have the point -2, 6. Okay, so now when I go to my picture, I can find it now. I think I can find it now. I have one that's going like this, and I have another one that's going something like this. Okay, and I can usually pick them out. So to pick out your graphs using your multiple choice lineup, the first thing you're going to do is your vertical asymptotes. Then you're going to look at your horizontal asymptotes. Okay, generally that will be enough to find your multiple choice option. But if not, then you can start plotting points with the x-intercept and then the y-intercept. If that's not enough, then plug in another point. Just pick another value. So you do the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and then you might need another point. Notice it says in your instructions here, between the asymptotes. Okay, so I had 2 points already on the right of my vertical asymptote. So when I picked a point, I picked one on the left. So I want to make sure I'm between on both sides of my asymptotes to make sure I know where it is. Okay, so that's what we would just generally do to pick out the graphs of our rational functions. Okay, let's look at another one. I need more room. Okay, let's look at another one. So this one says f of x is equal to 5x over x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so again, at the very beginning of our document, it says factor the numerator and denominator. So I need to get this in factored form. I need to factor that denominator. It should be a 4, shouldn't it? A -4 and plus 2. Okay, all right, and so now the vertical asymptotes are holes. Well, I don't have any holes. We hadn't talked about those for a few minutes, but I don't have any holes. So my vertical asymptotes are going to be x minus 4 equals 0, so x equals 4. And then x plus 2 equals 0, so x equals -2. So these are my vertical asymptotes. So I'm going to get my graph started. And so at -2 and +4. Okay, so that's first, vertical asymptotes. So I did that. Okay, got the vertical asymptotes. There are no holes. So those are my vertical asymptotes. All right, again, we're just doing multiple choice, so hopefully at this point this eliminates some of my choices. Look very carefully, see if it does. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is the horizontal asymptotes. So remember, when you do the horizontal asymptotes, you compare the degrees. Again, no math. And this is what's hard for people. Compare the degrees. So we've got a degree 1 over degree 2. So this one is big on bottom. And so the rule says when it's big on bottom, that your x-axis y equals 0 is your horizontal asymptote. So I'm going to have a horizontal asymptote that's going to go here. So now if you'll notice, my graph has been divided up into kind of 6 sections. All right, and so we're hoping we can pinpoint our graph from this. All right, no, we don't have an oblique. So now we're going to go into our plotting points. Okay, so the x-intercepts, I'm going to set the numerator equal to 0 and solve. So my x-intercept is going to be the point 0, 0. So there's a point on my graph. Okay, so that already eliminates a couple of problems for me. I can look at my multiple choice. The y-intercept is going to be the same. The y-intercept is going to be the same. So x-intercept and y-intercept are the same. So now I've got to plug in some numbers. Plug in other values between the asymptotes. Okay, so remember this is 4 and this is -2. So I might do f of +2 and see what I get. Right. I might do f of 5 and see what I get over here. And I might do f of -3 and see what I get. And see what this thing kind of looks like. All right, so let's do that real quick. So I'm going to plug in 2. That's going to give me 5 times 2 over 2 squared minus 2 times 2 minus 8. 10 over 4 minus 4, -8. So that's a -5/4. Okay, so for 2, I get -5/4. So I get below there. All right, next I'm going to plug in 5. So it'd be 5 times 5. 5 squared minus 2 times 5 minus 8. So that's 25 over 25 minus 10 is 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. And that's approximately 3 point something. Okay, so f of 5 is going to be up here. Maybe even taller than that. And then I'll do f of -3. F of -3, so that'll be 5 times -3 over -3 squared minus 2 times -3 minus 8. It'll be -15 over 9 plus 6, which is 15. And 15 minus 8 is 7. So this is approximately -2 point something. Okay, so from this information, I am able to pick out my multiple choice options. From this information, I'm able to pick out my multiple choice options. You can? Yes, you can. I know you can't see the multiple choice options, but here's what my graph is going to look like. It's going to have a boundary here going that way and a boundary here going straight up. Oh, I didn't get my straight up. That's not straight up either. Let's try again. It's just going straight up. This one is going to come down and go down like that. And then this one's going to go like that. I know it doesn't look that way, but when you get the graphs and you get to the homework problems, this one's numbered 19, you'll be able to pick it out. I promise. You probably won't even have to do all of this extra work and can pick it out. But that's what we're going to do. It's just math, y'all. You can do this. Good luck.